August 2nd, 1934. A day that transformed Germany and the world. On this day, Adolf Hitler, already Chancellor of Germany, seized the title of Führer, leader, becoming the supreme ruler of Nazi Germany. A single man now held all the power of the state, military, political, and ideological. But this didn't happen overnight. Let's go back. Back to the ashes of World War I, a war that had devastated Europe and humiliated Germany. When the guns finally fell silent in 1918, Germany had lost over 2 million men. The country was exhausted, bitter, and fractured. Then came the Treaty of Versailles. The Allies imposed brutal conditions, massive territorial losses, military restrictions, and, most devastating of all, an admission of guilt and reparations totaling billions. To the German people, this wasn't peace, it was punishment, a breeding ground for extremism. The monarchy collapsed. Out of the ruins rose the Weimar Republic, Germany's first attempt at democracy. It was born under fire, assassinations, uprisings, economic turmoil. Hyperinflation hit in the early 1920s. People carried wheelbarrows of cash just to buy bread. Savings evaporated overnight. Then came foreign loans, brief stability, and the Great Depression in 1929, which sent unemployment soaring to over 30%. And in this chaos, voices of extremism grew louder. One of them belonged to Adolf Hitler. A failed artist turned soldier, Hitler had joined a small nationalist group in Munich, the German Workers' Party. He quickly took control, renamed it the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazi Party, and filled it with a poisonous mix of racism, militarism, and revenge. In 1923, Hitler attempted a coup, the Beer Hall Putsch. It failed. He was arrested and sentenced to prison. There he wrote Mein Kampf, his blueprint for future conquest, his beliefs in Aryan supremacy, and his obsession with Jews as scapegoats for Germany's decline. When he emerged, Hitler didn't seize power. He pursued it through elections, propaganda, and calculated violence. By 1930, the Nazis were the second largest party in Germany. In 1932, Hitler ran for president. He lost to aging war hero Paul von Hindenburg. But backroom politics were shifting. Conservative elites believed they could control Hitler by giving him power. So, on January 30th, 1933, Hindenburg appointed Hitler as Chancellor of Germany. The fuse was lit. Just 4 weeks later, the Reichstag building, home of the German parliament, was set on fire. A communist was blamed. Hitler exploited the crisis, convincing Hindenburg to pass the Reichstag fire decree, which suspended civil liberties, speech, assembly, press. The arrests began. Then came the Enabling Act, passed in March 1933. It gave Hitler's cabinet the ability to pass laws without parliament, effectively giving him dictatorial powers. The Nazis used fear, intimidation, and propaganda to secure the votes they needed. By mid-1933, all other political parties were banned. Germany was no longer a democracy. But Hitler still wasn't the supreme leader. Not yet. As long as President Hindenburg was alive, there was still a higher office above Hitler. And Hindenburg, old, aristocratic, and skeptical of Hitler, was a check, even if a weak one. But Hitler had a plan. He began grooming the military. In June 1934, he ordered the Night of the Long Knives, a brutal purge of his own paramilitary group, the SA, whose leader, Ernst Röhm, had grown too powerful. Over 80 people were murdered, including political rivals, critics, and former allies. The army watched and approved. In exchange, they got loyalty and expansion. On August 2nd, 1934, President Hindenburg died. And in a swift move, Hitler combined the offices of President and Chancellor into one, Führer und Reichskanzler. He demanded that every soldier in the German military swear allegiance, not to the Constitution, not to Germany, but to him personally. Adolf Hitler. It worked. On August 19th, a nationwide referendum was held. Under heavy Nazi propaganda, surveillance, and intimidation, nearly 90% of voters approved Hitler's new role. He was now the law. There would be no more checks, no dissent, no rivals. The German Republic was dead. Hitler immediately set to work reshaping the nation. The Gestapo hunted enemies of the state. Book burnings and strict censorship wiped out opposing views. Youth organizations indoctrinated children. Jews were targeted, marginalized, and eventually dehumanized by law. Germany was now a totalitarian state, and it all happened through legal means. No sudden coup, no war. Just gradual erosion of law, of truth, of resistance. Within 5 years, Hitler would plunge the world into World War II, resulting in tens of millions dead. He would orchestrate the Holocaust, murdering 6 million Jews, along with Roma, disabled people, political dissidents, and others deemed unworthy of life. But it all started with a nation in pain, with institutions that failed to protect democracy, with fear, and with one man's ambition. August 2nd, 1934 is not just a date, it is a warning. A moment where democracy was traded for control, where legality was used to build tyranny. Yesterday's moment, now remembered. So it is never repeated. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss an episode.